Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Howdy. I'm looking at buttons while I'm trying to multitask. You know how that works. Anyway, hi, Bev.
How's it going?
Great. Just great.
Just great. It's a new day.
Good thing. Um, I can definitely share about a real trigger that just happened yesterday.
Okay.
Talk about two people lining up in vibrational frequency and triggering each other. But the difference is I sat with it all day because this happened like first thing in the morning at work, and I sat with it all day, thought about it last night, and it hit me this morning. It's like, okay. Um, I am overloaded with work right now. We have three events, like one right after the other. Now, mind you, I'm not like an event planner, but that's kind of the position I hold. So managing three events at one time is very trying on your nerves. I always say that. And it definitely gives you an opportunity to um, learn to manage your stress level. A big plus is that you are very organized. I kid you not, you have to be super organized to be an event planner. So anyway, just putting all that out there. Um, with all the weight and personal life stuff that's happening, nothing too exhausting, but there's enough that, it's compounding the feeling of the stress level. Um, I had so when we're recording this on a Wednesday, the conversation happened on Tuesday morning. So on Monday, with this one event, I made a suggestion to my boss, and she's like, kind of thinking about it, and she's like, okay, but it wasn't like a strong okay, like, yeah, that sounds great. It was just like a okay. And I'm kind of in a almost like a panic mode about this event and a certain piece of it. So I started the process. So really what I had invested was time. I hadn't reached out to anybody yet, but my time. And time right now is very valuable in the sense of I have all these three events that I need to manage my time with. So the this person that I was vibrationally in alignment with that wasn't real healthy, she was not there on Monday. And she usually has very good input. But my mode of thinking at the time, I made the suggestion. My boss and I decided, yes, let's just do it. I started the process. So this coworker comes in yesterday, and I told her what we had discussed, what I had discussed with the boss. Now, let me just tell you that the coworker just so had been going through an immensely stressful experience with a friend who she's known for several years, and she's been going through this very stressful experience for like a week. And it was over the weekend that some other things came to light, like she just tapped out mentally and emotionally over this friend. So anyway, I said, I shared what the boss and I had talked about and what the process I was had started. And she just looked at me and she goes, "Why would you do that?" And proceeded. Now, it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. And in my process, now mind you, I had already told her I was in spin mode. because of everything that's going on, and I'm trying to manage it and all the things. And it's not just the events. You have to figure we have people coming in through the doors that need assistance, people asking me all day for about questions. It's a lot of stuff. I was just trying to give you a bigger picture of what all is entailed in a day. So anyway, she said that and said a little bit more in explanation. And I looked at her and I said, okay, fine. And I took my piece of paper that had that I had started the process of contacts, and I took it and I ripped it and I threw it away and I said, fine, it's done. Now, I didn't do it in a very nice manner. Um, she it triggered her and she got very upset, started crying, um, walked out, said some words, and I just sat there and I was like, huh. And it wasn't that I was mad at her, and I knew I wasn't mad at her, but I knew I was upset about something, but I didn't know what it was. So this is where all the processing comes in. Bottom line is, I am still learning. Like, I have a lot of information and knowledge in me and wisdom about a lot of things until it comes to financial dynamics, which I'm still learning, still growing at the end, still at my age. Like, I'm still learning these things, right? What she said to me had to do with financial matters with the event. So my process was, the way she said it immediately made me feel like I was dumb, like I was an idiot. Like because she's just like, well, why would you do that? And it was just like, just dropped in. Now, for audience purposes, what you need to understand is that is not an immediate thought. Oh, I'm an idiot. That is not the forethought thought. It was more of a frustration that I started the process, that her tone and the way she said it, like there was just other things that it creates a trigger. And this is why I had to process it, was because I didn't understand why I reacted in the way I did. So sitting with it, these were the things that I came up with. Was it made me feel like I wasn't smart, that I was dumb when it came to these things, and the frustration level of the fact that I had wasted time in doing something that really wish I shouldn't have done to begin with, because financially it didn't make sense. And of course I was upset as well, because I upset her, because that was not my intention. So it's just these things that I had to sit with, to realize that my little girl was wounded in the fact that I felt dumb in that moment. But the fact is, now, right, we're on the other side of it. Well, one of the things, and I shared this with her, I said, listen, I just need to let you know what I had to process through this conversation, because I know it triggered you, but this isn't that that was not my intent because of the way I reacted. It was because of what was happening inside of me that created my reaction. And I explained it to her. And so she just looked at me and she's like, you're like one of the smartest people working here. And I said, thank you. I appreciate that. But that's not what I felt in that conversation. And that triggered me. So anyway, her my stress level, her mental and emotional exhaustion, we lined up for each other, and boy, we just sucker punched each other. And I didn't say this to her, and probably anybody listening to this might think this is isn't very nice, but I also thought it was probably good that I did trigger her because she was able to cry and release some more of that stressful energy. And I know what that feels like. So, you just get pushed that edge where you just need to have a release and you never know what that trigger is going to be. I've been on that receiving end and I know what that feels like. And I also know that once I have that opportunity to cry, like it's such a relief to let that out. So anyway, that's been my experience very recently that I got to process, and oh boy, was it not fun.
But a huge opportunity for growth on both sides.
For sure.
And that's what's so valuable about triggers, and especially when you have the opportunity to speak with the other person to be able to work things through, because not you got to plant a lot of seeds just by your process. And so everything was intended to be exactly what it was intended to be, but it's to still be friends afterwards. And that's what people should recognize, or could recognize, that it's an opportunity, because people that are closest to us, that we work with, that are in our home and everything else, are going to be the people that trigger us. And we can be triggered and be like, F you, I'm out, pack your shit, leave the office, leave the home, do all those things. But that's running away from the messenger, because all that moment was an opportunity for you to be able to have this release yourself, no longer holding it. My mind just saw like a box open up, the flaps opened up, and this just was able to come out right now. And it came out with her, and to be able to be friends and be able to have the conversation afterwards, which solidifies it. And then whoever was in earshot, or whoever has the experience, or even if she went back and was like, well, this is bullshit, and whatever happened, this happened at the office, she's going to gain so much new perspectives. And like you said, it was an outlet. It had to happen that way, which is such a it's good for me to recognize this as I'm saying this to you, because we don't always, probably never, recognize in that very moment that we could, this is this person's triggering me, and we want to put blame on somebody else, because we want to blame them for the way we're feeling. But that's not the truth. The truth is, just like you said, you stopped and examined it and noticed that your inner child was having struggles with these things. Why? By doing this work means that you don't have to carry this shit with you for the next time. The next time it comes up or it shows up, or whatever, however the experience is, it's going to be for the greatest good of all. Only good will come from this. Only good will come from this. That's a good thing to remember.
That's what I told her at the very beginning of the conversation. I said, listen, I did not take the opportunity to be grateful that you made a statement or asked a question that made sense and saved me from making a bunch of phone calls or sending emails and all those things. I said, I didn't do that. I immediately went into the I'm an idiot, which equates to the I'm not good enough story. I didn't tell her that part, but it was I'm an idiot. I'm dumb. When it comes to this stuff, I'm dumb. I'm not smart enough about this. I shouldn't even have opened my mouth. Like all these things were processing in me. But I did say, I could have been grateful that you said that before I got entailed in all these other steps, but I didn't. And and to your point, it would have been very easy for me to blame her for me getting upset. But I didn't do that either. Now in the past, this would have been my MO in the past. The silent treatment, because that's control, right? I'm going to control the situation. I'm not going to talk to her. And it went on for days, weeks, or months. Like it would not have been a day. It would have been days, weeks, or months. I would have retracted. So I would have pulled back because now I don't feel safe. You you upset me and now I'm not safe around you. So now the wall goes up and I pull back, and that friendship that we have developed, you have to earn my trust again. right? Now, think about all the things I'm saying. I am pointing the finger outward. I am not looking inward. And it's
Mhm.
because you did this. Now you need to gain my trust again because you hurt me and I am not safe with you. So, and any conversations we would have had moving forward would have been short to the point, no lackadaisical fun interaction. It would have been, if she would ask me a question, it would have been straight to the point, done. I'm going back to my, like, no give, none. And that's the way I used to operate. So for me to take the time to do that internal reflection, have that conversation with spirit, with my spirit, with the all being God source, whoever, right? And allowing that information to come and opening myself up to this process of healing myself to be more understanding about me, and then to actually have a conversation with somebody is nowhere near where I was earlier in my years. That wouldn't have even been an option. Not even an option. In fact, I would have thought about um, finding a new job possibly because I could not work with this person anymore. Like, did go that far.
Mhm.
So, so from where I was, again, always comparing myself to me, where I was to where I am, and that I was able to use my voice to have that conversation and not blame her, but say, this is the way I have processed this for myself, and this is what my understanding of why I reacted the way I did with you. And the option to that was just be grateful that you made the suggestion and I didn't go through this entire process and cost us money
And waste your time.
and wasted my time.
Yeah. And recognizing there was no waste in time. I mean, there wasn't. It was all, the whole thing sounds pretty amazing. I know it doesn't feel like it when you're going through that kind of stuff because I've experienced a lot of that stuff. And so I understand. And I understand everything that you had just said because that's how I process things forever. We even had a conversation last night about kind of along those lines. I used to get mad and I wouldn't, and I never even knew that it was a control thing, but that would be the end of it. I wouldn't have a conversation. I wouldn't talk, but I've learned by doing that, especially at home and in a relationship, if I'm doing that, I'm shutting the other person out. I'm not allowing them in. And so to me, that's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right. So I might get quiet because I'll process things or try to figure a way through it that makes sense to me, figure out the best outlet for me, figure out the best way to process this. But it's pretty pretty grown up, Miss Amy, to be able to be so
Don't say
responsible.
that.
I'm sorry you're not four anymore.
Grown
But
up.
it's awesome. Well, yeah, grown up kid style. You
That's
know,
funny. You're like, you're not four anymore. It's like, oh, girl. It's true.
although four was an awesome age, but the thing
It's
is
true,
this
girl.
that's there's a whole lot of stuff that goes with that, which goes along with what I would say that I've been processing the last 3 days. This is my third day that I've been working with this. Is it my guides? Is it I've had a lot of experiences with some, I don't know, ascended masters. We'll just call them ascended masters. And so I've been having some different feelings and things are coming to my mind, and I keep asking my energy to be cleansed with their energy, like to feel these things. And one of the things was the monkey mind, right? We've talked about monkey mind. We've talked about it here. It's in books. It talks about all this stuff. And my whole thing is don't feed the monkeys. I wrote it on my mirror a few days ago. And the monkeys, the more that I bear witness to my internal workings, my internal thoughts, my processes, it's been uh, very liberating. Very liberating because I'm noticing, like, all of a sudden I might notice a pattern. Let's say I'm driving down the road and all of a sudden I see something and I'm like, oh, he's going to do this or whatever. Because I'm seeing a pattern and I'll get this feeling inside my body almost immediately afterwards. And sometimes it seems like, well, it is that way. But when I slow it down, I can almost think, was I thinking that first? No, I'm having an amount automatic reaction that took me into a certain energy space. Now I'm feeling whatever this energy is. And now anything that matches to it, like all I can see right now is one of those big old magnets, and everything's like sucks right to it. Everything that matches that frequency in that moment. And it's like it's so easy to lose control. It's so easy to. But the more that, like I said, this is my third day, I'm paying attention. So I'm noticing when the stuff pops up, and I'm reminding myself that's a thought, that's victim mode, that's whatever it is that I'm noticing it. And I'm like stepping back and taking a breath. Oh, I noticed that. Okay, stepping back and taking a breath and just noticing it. This is monkey mind. These are programs. This is an old pattern that keeps recycling that I've allowed to let run with my permission, and it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good, which which is fun. But then I go back to the whole process. You didn't sit and beat yourself up because of your decisions, because you could have beat yourself up because of the decision for you to say that, for you to, I mean, to go, a lot of us like to go down the whole story again, like, well, shit, if I didn't do this, and this, look at all this time, all these things to beat yourself up. No, you stopped and looked at it and figured out why is this triggering me? What's going on with inside of me? What is this about? And then you move through it. And it may have been the day and a half or the day, during the night. And the aha came this morning. But that's fast. That's fast and it's freeing.
Yeah, because in the past, the monkey mind, the mind that says, right, you're not good enough. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't even be having this job. Why do you think you should have this job? It takes a lot of financial information that you need to know, and you don't have it. Like, and then it would have just taken me back to, well, look at your finances. Look, you've never been good with money. And you could never have the things that you wanted because you can't, right? We just go down that rabbit hole and then look at all these things that prove that you're not good with money. And we just keep going and go, like those are just a few, but our thoughts go so fast and we don't pay attention to them that they just eat us alive. Like they just consume us. And as that comes up, now you have not only frustration and irritation, but that you get angry and you feel guilty and you feel shame, not from the experience that just happened, but all the things that happen in this lifetime. Like you just add them all up and you're like, yep, completely and totally validated that I am a piece of shit. And why am I on this planet? So then I go down that rabbit hole. Why am I even alive? Why am I breathing? Why people would be better off without me because I'm suck at finance. Like it's just
But it's
a
true.
whole thing. It's a
It
whole
is. It's that
thing.
big, huge magnet. It's that big, huge magnet. You got into that space and they could suck all the stuff right to you in that moment. And guess what? It's all untrue. All of
Right.
it.
So I will say in this whole process, my mind tried to go down those paths. However, this happened yesterday on Tuesday. On Saturday, this same person and I sat together for 3 hours at an event side by side, having a great time. And my head was like wanting, not overpowering like it used to, because I've done so much work on myself, but it wanted to try, it gave it a good attempt to want to say, you're not safe and this person you just shouldn't even be associated, like it tried to inch its way in there, and I was just like, yeah, but we just spent 3 hours together the other day, like, and we laughed and we had a great time. And so it's like it was almost like that push pull, but the better side of me was winning. And these are things that, like, as we're going through our healing process, you're gonna have that side. So they call it the angel and devil, or the good wolf and the bad wolf, or whatever analogy you want to use. That there's gonna be a side of you that is telling you you're great, you're good, you deserve goodness and all the things. But then there's that programming that you've been living with for so many years that's gonna say, yeah, but What about all this other stuff that happened and prove that you are not good enough? So it's learning to continuously, well, first of all, where I'm at now with myself is I am curious about, I was curious. I wasn't beating myself up. I was curious. Why did I react the way I did? That is curiosity. I am interested in me and how I operate. And once I figure that out, and the whole thing that well, why couldn't you have just been grateful for her saying that? That hit me like somebody like my angel's throat punched me like, yeah, why didn't you? Why didn't you say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that. It makes so much sense, and I'm so glad I didn't proceed any further than I did." How much better would the conversation have been if I would have said that? And how you know how good that feels to say that out loud right now? It just feels so, like, where the fuck is your gratitude, sister? Like, let's lean into that more than getting into I'm wasting my time. I'm not good enough. I'm stupid when it comes to finance and all the other things. This person is your support and you want support, you want to be supported, and she shows up to support you in a different way, but you were not receptive. Hello.
That's something to touch on too. Not allowing yourself the peace, right?
Yeah.
Not allowing yourself to receive. It's
Yeah.
funny you're saying all this stuff, and I wrote down focus on the good in each moment and in each of the relationships because that's something I've been looking at too. It's we all have gotten into a tendency, and we've talked about this numerous times, of focusing on things that are not the positive or the good stuff all day long. And it's like you want to reprogram, just start focusing on the good stuff.
Yeah.
Look at whether you only last for about 15 minutes or an hour or 2 hours or a day, and then you fall off for a few minutes and then you jump right back on again. It doesn't matter because you're going to spend more time feeling good.
Yeah. For sure.
And you know what else is funny? I mean, it's not funny because I felt like shit for doing it. So we wouldn't be having this conversation today because we were supposed to do the recording on Sunday, but I for some reason thought it was the next Sunday, which is Father's Day. So I looked at it, I was like, what the hell was I thinking? And I was busy running around doing stuff because I had some people coming over and some friends, and you had sent me a message like at 10:15, and I don't know what time I had finally seen it because I was running around cleaning, I was doing stuff around the house, and I saw that message and I was like, holy shit, is she sure? And like I'm looking back through the messages, and I sent you the message, you're like, well, can we in Tuesday or Wednesday, right, that we could do it? And I kept kind of thinking about it because then I was supposed to have my granddaughter yesterday, and then I ended up not having her, and I ended up doing other things. And I even still thought about sending you the message, but I didn't. And then it came to a certain point. I was like, no, we'll just do it tomorrow, like we talked about, and we'll just leave it alone. We don't need to throw any more curveballs at you. And I didn't even know what was going on. But the awesome thing is, we got to have this conversation today, and it wouldn't have happened if we had the conversation on
That's
Sunday.
right.
And it's like very freeing.
And I have to remind myself in moments like that that there's a reason. There's a reason. And does some not necessarily with this experience, but in some experiences when things don't go as planned as I think they should, there's a little irritation like, really? Okay, here we go. And then I have to sit and again, this is that positive negative side, trying to take over the conversation. And it's like, no, there's a reason why this is being rescheduled and it is okay. It's okay. And exactly what you said, had we had this conversation on Sunday, we wouldn't be recording for 2 more weeks. And in 2 weeks, I don't know, this conversation would come up.
Yeah.
So when it's super fresh, like I just experienced it, when it's super fresh, it's a lot easier to share about it than waiting. So yeah, totally there. And then I just want to hit on that we are in this. So you said 3 days ago, your thing with the monkey mind. Um,
I'm on day 3 right now.
Yeah. Well, when you did it, a new moon was happening. So the
Oh,
new moon happened on
didn't even,
Sunday.
yeah. So
And all the planets being in the sky at once, So we're just blaming it on planetary alignment and call it good.
and it's also recognizing I do value your time. Your time is important. Honestly, it is. Everybody's time is important for if because we live on a time schedule here in the
Yeah.
3D. So I mean, there is some value to it for us currently. And so I certainly didn't mean, I don't ever mean for anything to be different. I just know that things always work out specifically for a reason. It just seems like it's always that way. I don't always understand it in the beginning or during it. And then I've got Freeman in the background. A lot of times he'll be like, well, it probably saved you, just like we've talked about a million times. It probably saved you from an accident when you were driving to town, or this probably happened. Well, see that you got that message and you never even made it to town. How awesome is that? Just things. There's always a reason that things work out the way that they work out.
And there was no way I would have been in a good frame of mind last night to even do I would have been like, ugh. Hmm. Hmm. I don't
It's
know
so
about
divine.
that, but
Yeah. No, it really is it's really a divine timing thing.
yep, and we try to control that too. That's a whole nother conversation that we need to go into, but we do try to control things in the way that we think they should be, in the timing that we think they should be in, and Source has other plans. So I just put that out there. So we got to learn to relax and enjoy the flow of life. And I totally know 1,000% that that experience was for me to be able to get past another money block that I'd been holding on to, and that just happened to be the way it surfaced. And it's okay because now it's how do you learn? By experience. And it's valuable information as long as you implement what you learn. So I appreciate moments like they do suck. They suck horribly. I don't like them. I never like them. However, I have gotten really good within myself to go, okay, what is the underlying reason of this? And let's explore this and let's get to it, because the sooner we can get to that, it can be resolved within myself. And the next similar experience will be handled way different than this one was. So let's explore it and let's do the work, because that's vitally important for me, for my mental stability, for my emotional stability, for my physical stability, and it's also increasing my um, connection with spirit, because that's who I'm talking to. It's an internal exploration, which is spirit. And so it's all beneficial. And of course, I have gratitude for the experience. And and the other side of that would have been I would have hung on to this for months, days, and years of beating myself up over it. So kudos to me celebrating that, and I'm good with it. So anyway, I just hope that our audience can get something from that story and from the idea that it's all internal. I could have blamed this girl up and down all day long for a long time, and because of her, this is the way I am, right? And that is not the game to play if you want to be and do better within yourself. You have to you have to do the internal work and take responsibility for your own programming and reprogramming yourself. So it's call it unlearning or unfuck yourself. I don't care what words you use, but you have to do the work. Nobody else can do it for you.
100%. And you wouldn't want anybody else doing the work for you anyways, because they ain't going to
Exactly.
do it right.
They wouldn't do it right.
They
They
wouldn't
wouldn't get
do
it
it right.
right.
Yeah, it's
So,
so true.
any final words before we wrap this up?
I just will remind people, don't feed that mind.
Yeah.
Don't feed it. Take the time, just like you said, because every time we change ourselves from within, we're affecting the whole world. We're affecting the universe. I know it sounds very big and huge and not possible, but it is. It affects your environment. It's that little ripple. And that's all it takes. So take the time for yourself.
Yeah, and along those lines, in the mornings, I meditate and I call in archangels and I ask Archangel Uriel, please help me to remember that I am a piece of this collective consciousness and that my thoughts, words, emotions, and actions matter. And so that's a reminder for me in the morning. I sometimes don't get through the day remembering it, but I do attempt to call it in. So practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely.
All right, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tea time with Amy and Bev. Be resourceful. Have these, you don't have to have the conversations, but you can share with people where you're getting the information, the answers, the ideas, the tips, tools, tricks. And you can find us on many platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spreaker, Spotify, Podcast Addict, YouTube. And am I missing anything? I think that's it. Anywho, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.